Okay, so thank you for waiting and good morning again. My name is Jane from Lee Hang Scientific Private Limited, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for taking time off to attend our webinar today. Today's topic will talk about the newly modified OSHA protocols, where the respirator fit testing process is now faster and more streamlined. The modified CNC protocols enable faster and shorter fit test exercise in 2.5 minutes. And we are glad to have Ms. Sophia Chiu, the product specialist for health and safety products from TSI, to be with us today for a presentation of this topic. At the end of the presentation, there will be Q&A session. So please type your question in the chat box on your right if you have any queries, and we will try our best to attend to it. Do note that all attendees will be muted by default throughout the entire webinar session to prevent any background interruption. So without further ado, I would like to invite Sophia over to start her presentation. Sophia?
Okay, let me open up my slides. Okay, Jane, is it clear on your side?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay, great. Hi, morning everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining today's webinar. I appreciate all who dial into today's webinar, regardless if you are actually working from home or essential service and work in the office. Thanks so much. Okay, just now Jane has mentioned some of the logistics. Most of you are muted by the webinar systems. Basically, this help prevents background interference. Um, During my presentation, attendees can submit questions electronically via the Webex Q&A box at any time, but they will only be discussed after the presentation when I open up the Q&A section. Okay, let's get started. Okay, our agenda today is to first understand what is respirator fit testing. What are the OSHA approved fit test methods and the main differences between these test methods. We review the new protocol from OSHA and how it helps to transform your current respiratory protection program. As today, we have a wide audience and different understanding levels of fit testing. Please bear with me as I go through some of the slides which some of you might already be familiar with. Okay, last but not least, of course, we open up to the floor for some Q&A. Okay, what is respirator fit testing? The OSHA, which means Occupational Safety Health Administration, Act is contained in the Title 29 of the Code Federal Regulation, CFR 1910.134. This talks about the whole respiratory protection program. Okay, this code mandates fit testing as part of this respiratory protection program, which include respirator selection, okay, fit testing, medical evaluation, maintenance of the respirator, exposure assessment, and this whole return respiratory program. Okay, this program requires the employer to develop and implement a return respiratory protection program with required worksite specific procedures and elements for required respirator use. And this program must be administered by a suitably trained program administrator. So basically, these respiratory programs talk about all these elements that ties in hand together. Okay? And in any workplace where respirators are necessary to protect the health of the employee, or whenever respirators are required by the employer shall establish and implement a return respiratory program with worksite specific procedures. And the program shall be updated as necessary to reflect these changes in workplace conditions that affect respirator use. The employer shall also include in the program the following provisions of this section as applicable, which is procedures for selecting respirators for use in the workplace. Depends on the contaminant in the workplace, what type of respirator is suitable, right? Medical evaluations for employers required to use respirators, because we know donning of respirator is actually very taxing for the lungs. So all the respirator users have to go through medical evaluations if they are suitable to wear a respirator. And of course, fit testing procedures for tight-fitting respirators. Procedures for proper use of respirators in routine and reasonably foreseeable emergency situations. Procedures and schedules for cleaning, disinfecting, storing, inspecting, repairing, discarding, and otherwise maintaining respirators. The test users will basically be taught how to clean the respirators, right? Full face respirator, half face elastomer respirators, or even how to actually store them, not under extreme high temperatures, how to inspect if the respirators is damaged and all this. Okay. Procedures to ensure adequate air quality, quantity, flow of breathing air for atmospheric supplying respirators, training of employees in the respiratory hazards to which they are potentially exposed during routine and emergency situations, training of employees in the proper use of respirators, including how you put them on, how you remove them, and limitation of the use and the maintenance. Last but not least, procedures for regularly evaluating the effectiveness of this whole program. Okay, so all of these elements goes hand in hand, which ultimately leads to a successful program. And fit testing is one of these critical components that leads to a successful programs. Okay, to basically put in layman term, what is respirator fit testing to you? How does a clothes fit us, right? Is it too big, too small, it does not fit to our build? This analogy is very similar to what fit testing is all about. Everybody has different face profile. Some have sharper nose bridge, some a wider jaw, a higher chin, a higher cheek, right? Only by doing fit tests, then we can determine what size of mask, what style of mask, the model of respirator suits us individually. Because in the market, we know there's various type of respirator available, dust mask, folded mask, and all this. So we got to do fit tests to them individually, then we'll be able to qualify if the respirator fits us. Okay. It's basically to test the seal of the respirator to our face profile, highlighted in pink here. Okay, why should we fit test? First is safety, right? We don the respirator because we want to protect from the contaminant in the environment. So that no contaminant can pass through the face seal. A good seal is important. That's what fit testing is all about. Comfort. Assess the employee is comfortable so that he will not attempt to remove his respirator during his work. Any adjustment made during his work shift, he's basically exposing himself to the contaminant. We want to be comfortable with the respirator that we don. Any adjustment made during the work shift, we tend to expose ourselves to the contaminant. So comfortable, wearing a respirator and feeling comfortable is very important. Training, so that the user knows how to properly don and don off, which don and don means put it on and remove it, the respirator without pulling his hair. In many instances, often a fit test is due to the user do not know how to put on the mask. It often resulted a supposing fitting mask to be ill-fitting. Example, a dust mask. A new user without going through a proper training will tend to pinch the metal nose strips on the mask. Oftentimes, we assume this is the best way a mask should be worn, but that is an incorrect method. So if the user is properly trained, it can minimize a lot of uncertainty or worse, rule out a mask that actually fits. In most cases, the user end up wasting a lot of time and resource searching for a mask that fits. Okay, so always take into note that training is very important. Often we see cases where fit testing fail. It's not that the mask don't fit. It's actually the user do not know how to properly put on the mask. And training is very important. It normally comes from the mask manufacturer. Okay, I have a few bonus slides here that talk about filter media characteristics. Since a lot of discussion now revolves around this respirator, which is rather the hot topic now. So let's first understand what is filter media characteristics. What do we mean when the filter is rated as 95% efficiency? Okay, like this one here, like we know it's 95% efficient respirator. What does it mean? It means it filters 95% of the airborne particles, so 5% will penetrate through the filter media. Okay. The most penetrating particle size is actually around 0.3 micron. Okay. So this 5% is actually particle size of 0.3 micron. It's not the ultra-fine particles, which are the small particles, or the big size particles. It's actually the mid-range particle size, which is 0.3 micron, that tends to penetrate through the filter media. And fit testing, the last part here, fit testing, is actually to test the leak through the face seal. Okay? So I hope everybody is not confused on that. So how does this filter media remove the particles? Okay. Do we think of it as a sieve with a specific diameter which separates causal from final particles? Filter media doesn't work that way. Mechanical filter media remove contaminants from air in the following ways. The first one, which is known as impaction. Okay, larger particles greater than 0.4 microns, unable to follow the contour of the airflow stream, is being forced to embed in one of the fibers, directly called impaction. So this impaction occurs in particles greater than 0.4 microns. Next is interception. Okay. Interception by most particle size range, okay, which are following a line of flow in the airstream, coming within one radius of a fiber and adhering to it. This is called interception. Impaction and these two methods here are the impaction and interception predominates particles above 0.4 microns. Next is diffusion. Diffusion is a collision, a result of collision with gas molecules by the smallest particles, especially those below 100 nanometer diameter. These particles are so small that they are being pushed around randomly by the air molecules, and they eventually end up at the filter here. So diffusion normally occurs in particles so small, ultra-fine, 100 nanometer diameter. Because the last one is by using, which is, we call it the electrostatic attraction. By using certain resin waxes as coating on the filter media, they will attract particles with an electrostatic charge that holds them on the surface of the filter media. Okay. So this is how a filter media remove particles by this different filtration mechanism. Okay. Okay, let's review some of these commonly used fit test methods and protocols in the healthcare industries. Under OSHA, there are two acceptable fit test methods. Okay. One is quantitative and the other is qualitative. So quantitative fit test methods are objectives, okay, as they rely on measurements that produce data on the respirator's fit. So they use an instrument that numerically measures the fit of the respirator. So we term that as quantitative. On the other hand, for qualitative, they are known as subjective methods, as it relies on a test subject sensors, our taste sensors, and self-reported responses, rather than measurement and data. which we will talk about it more in the few slides. Okay, so to round up the overview, there are actually 4 qualitative test methods OSHA talk about in the Appendix A. So Code Federal Regulation 1910.134, Appendix A, you will have a list of all the OSHA fit test protocol. Okay, these are 4 of them that is in OSHA fit test protocol. But for SS 548, Singapore Standards 548, revision 2009 in Annex E. Okay, if you refer to the SS 548 Annex E, we basically only use 2 of these, 2 out of the 4 test methods here. Okay, which are sensitivity taste using Bitrex or saccharin. Okay, so SS 548 only uses 2 methods out of the 4. Okay, these are taste sensitivity tests. The third method here is, which is in OSHA protocol, they use a chemical called isomyl acetate. This actually smells like banana. Okay, this method requires an organic vapor cartridge on the respirator. So organic vapor cartridge are used because the challenge agent is an organic vapor. It's not an aerosol. So therefore, N95 respirators cannot be fit tested with this isomyl acetate. Okay. And the fourth method here is an irritant smoke from cyanic chloride. This irritant smoke test needs no sensitivity testing at all, and does not need a hood over the fit test subject. This actually makes it probably a lot more easier to administer. However, this irritant smoke is recognized as a hazardous agent. If the respirator leaks, the fit test subject's response towards the leak is a cough because of the irritation of the respiratory tract from an intentional exposure to this known irritant. For this reason, NIOSH does not recommend the irritant smoke method of fit testing. Okay, so it's not recommended by NIOSH at all. In fact, I've seen recommendations for the fit test administrator to wear a respirator while they are administrating this type of method. Okay, so it doesn't really make sense. Okay, so qualitative. Now I'm going to talk a bit more about this qualitative with Bitrex and saccharin, and it's actually in the SS 548 recommendation. Okay, so let's take a look at how this qualitative fit test is being administered. Okay, every individual vary in their taste threshold. Therefore, a pre-taste sensitivity test is performed before starting this method of fit test to ensure suitability for the individual. The saccharin, a sweet taste solution, or a Bitrex, a bitter taste solution, threshold screening performed without wearing a respirator is intended to determine whether the individual going to be fit tested can detect the taste of saccharin or Bitrex. Okay, so first they have to go through a pre-taste sensitivity test if they can either detect saccharin or sweet taste or Bitrex. Okay, so it's done in this way. The pre-taste sensitivity requires the test subject to stay inside the hood, okay, without wearing a respirator. So by first doing the pre-taste sensitivity test, initially you do not have to put on the respirator. You have to put on a hood, shown here, okay, but without the respirator on. And it's instructed to breathe through the mouth. You've got to breathe through the mouth slightly open with your tongue extended because we taste with our tongue. Okay, so you got to with your tongue extended to taste the solution that is being administered into the hood. Okay, 10 squeezes. First time is 10 squeezes of the solution are puffed repeatedly using this. You can see here, this is a manual nebulizer. So you got to be manually squeezing the nebulizer. And the test subject is asked if the solution can be tested. So if the test subject reports tasting the solution during this 10 squeeze, if he said, yes, I can taste it, then this screening test, this pre-taste screening test is completed. Okay, and the test subject will require 10 squeeze of the solution during actual fit test with the respirator on. So when doing pre-taste screening, we're trying to squeeze the number of nebulizer, okay, and seeing how much during this time the test subject can taste it. And if you can taste it with the 10 squeezes, that means when it comes to actual fit testing, you've got to have the number of nebulizer squeeze. Okay, but if the test subject cannot taste the solution during the 10 squeeze, then another 10 squeezes have to be administered. And if he can taste it during this total 20 squeeze, then the taste threshold is noted as 20. Okay, then the fit tester will administer 20 squeeze during fit testing. Okay, so taste screening procedure is in multiple of 10, then 20 and max 30 squeeze. It's only after, the max is 30 squeeze. So if after 30 squeeze, the test subject still cannot taste the solution, then of course this method of fit testing does not suit him. He does not have taste sensitivity either to Bitrex or saccharin. So you got to try. If Bitrex fails, you cannot taste during the 30 squeeze, then you probably got to change to saccharin taste solution. If it still doesn't taste it, then of course this method of qualitative fit test does not suit him at all. Okay? And these methods this method requires a sensitivity test, which I mentioned earlier, and a wear-off period that should average around 15 to 20 minutes per person. Okay, so next, then he will start to do the 7 minutes fit test, which include a total of 7 test exercise. So that's why we said earlier that qualitative fit test is a subjective test method, waiting for the response from the test user if they can taste or they cannot taste the solution. Okay, again, and note that sweet food and drinks should not be consumed 30 minutes prior to doing this test. Okay, and what is quantitative fit testing? Okay, so objectively test how a specific make, model, and size of mask fits to a specific person's face. Okay. This test is done in an indoor environment with enough particles to conduct fit tests by using TSI PortaCount equipment. Okay, this equipment shown here. It measures the particles in this environment within a size range and compare how many of these particles leak through the face seal. The fit test is done with this respirator on, without any hood. Okay, there's no taste sensitivity test at all. There are 8 test exercises to complete per OSHA, which takes around 7 minutes, 15 seconds for the whole exercise. With the new modified CNC protocol, the time taken for fit test has reduced by more than half, which we will talk about it in the later part of this presentation. What is fit factor? Okay, and how is it derived? Fit factor is equals to the ratio of particle concentration outside the down respirator, okay, ambient particle concentration versus how many particle concentration that leaks into the respirator. For example, if the ambient concentration has 100 particles per cubic centimeter, right? And of that, one particle leak into the respirator seal, applying this formula, concentration out versus concentration in, the fit factor will be 100, meaning that the down respirator is 100 times cleaner. Okay, OSHA limits qualitative fit testing methods to respirators needing a fit factor of 100 or less. This means, okay, if you refer to 1910.134 again, Respiratory Protection Program, F number 6, okay, the limit may only, qualitative fit test may only be used to fit test negative pressure air purifying respirator that must achieve a fit factor of 100 or less. This means qualitative fit testing is limited to filtering phase pieces, respirators, which is those N95, N99, P100, etc., and half phase elastomeric respirators. Okay, which means half phase filtering face pieces. If the customer is fit testing a full face respirator, this needs to be fit tested at a fit factor of 500 and above. So a quantitative fit testing methods must be used to achieve a fit factor greater than 100. This means that quantitative is the only test method that can fit test all respirators, including full face and half face or filtering face piece. So basically quantitative fit test method, they can fit test all types of respirators. Okay, full face, half face, or even disposable 995 and 99P100, all these respirators. Whereas for qualitative, they can only fit test filtering face pieces and half face elastomeric respirator, but not full face respirators. This is per OSHA's regulations. Okay, what you see here are the OSHA approved fit test methods found in OSHA 1910.134 Appendix A. Okay, you will find these all 5 protocols stated here with the addition of a new modified ambient CNC protocol, which is this one here, modified ambient aerosol CNC. It is a modification. So basically this modified ambient CNC is a modification of the existing ambient aerosol CNC. It's a modification of this. Okay, it encourages new methods that improve the overall safety and health of the workforce. The protocol modifications are only for use with specific fit test method, which is CNC quantitative instruments, which is one of 3 different subsets of quantitative fit testing that OSHA accepts. Okay, so again, this new protocol here, modified protocol here, is a modification of the existing ambient aerosols, CNC protocol. And I believe most of you will be familiar with if you are using TSI PortaCount. Okay, TSI is an invention of this CNC technology and has been around for many, many years. Okay. And of course, this new protocol is basically a subset of all these quantitative, which includes the generated aerosols, ambient aerosols, CNP is a control negative pressure methods. It's a subset of this quantitative. Only qualitative is this. Okay, the new protocol is a subset of all this quantitative. And it's the only approved method, which is a modification of the existing ambient aerosol CNC. Okay, it's not the rest, but it's only a modification of this. Okay. Okay, on September 26, 2019, the US Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration Agency, OSHA, issued a new rule into law within their Respiratory Protection Standard fit test procedure, which is found in this 29 Code Federal Regulation 1910.134, Appendix A. This new law provides employers in all industries with 2 additional fit testing protocols for ensuring the employees' respirators fits them properly. This change makes available 2 modified protocols. Okay, one for full and half face elastomeric respirators and a similar one for filtering face piece respirators. So there's basically 2 modified protocols, one for full and half face and another one for filtering face piece. So what are the additional protocols and how do they fit in with the existing regulations? Okay, these protocols are modification and additions to the existing fit test standard. The previous CNC protocol, condensation nuclide counter protocol, is still valid, okay, effective and as an option. Where previously there was one 8-step protocol for all respirators with the CNC protocol, now there are 2 shorter but equivalent protocols. One of the protocol is for full face and half face elastomeric. The other is for filtering face pieces. Okay, these protocols are based on 3 studies. They are published in a peer-reviewed journal demonstrating the equivalency of the original ambient aerosol CNC quantitative fit test protocol. Bear in mind, these new methods are required to demonstrate equivalency to already approved reference methods. The process by OSHA requires new methods to meet the required acceptance criteria for test sensitivity, predictive value of a pass, predictive value of a fail, test specificity, kappa statistic in relation to an already approved method. Okay, OSHA determined that the new protocol meet this criteria and therefore can provide employees with protections comparable to protections afforded to them by the reference method. Many of you will benefit from this new modified ambient aerosol CNC protocols, which I'm going to explain. These new protocols, in a nutshell, they're actually much faster. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise of the original CNC protocol. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so these new protocol are much faster. Lesser sets number of exercise from 8 to 4. Shorten exercise duration. The original CNC protocol, there is 1 minute, right, per each exercise, but now it's reduced to 50 seconds, 30 seconds, and so on and so forth. Okay, in the original protocol, there's ambient samples taken during all the ambient samples will be taken all during the 7 exercise. Okay, but for this new protocol, the ambient samplings will only be taken during the first and the last exercise. Okay, and fast, full, and half-phase elastomeric protocol includes 3 of the 7 current test exercise, along with a new jogging in place. All 4 exercises here are shorter in duration than the original. We'll get into this detail further in the presentation. All other aspects of the law, such as test cycle for OSHA once a year, reporting rules, comfort assessment, 5 minutes comfort assessment, all this remain unchanged in the original OSHA protocol. Okay, on this new protocol table shown here, just now I mentioned that the first ambient sample is taking the first exercise and the last exercise. Okay, so basically it has cut short the duration of the fit test instead of the original protocol where all the ambient sample is taking during all the test exercise. Okay, so the first exercise is basically 50 seconds, second exercise 30 seconds, third exercise 30 seconds, and the last exercise 39 seconds. So all in all, this make up 2 minutes and 29 seconds. Compared to the original CNC protocol, is total 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Okay, let's take a look how these exercises are being performed. Okay, first, throughout all the different respirators, full face or N95 respirator, the first exercise are the same, bending over. So you bend at the waist, if going to touch the toes. You inhale 2 times at the bottom. Okay, repeat till you reach 50 seconds. The second exercise, you can see there's a difference in the second exercise. Okay, if you are going to fit test a full face respirators or half face elastomeric, okay, then there will be jogging in place. If you are fit testing a filtering face pieces, okay, be it N95, N99, then you will be using this talking, okay, for the second exercise. Whereas the last 2 will be the same. Okay, how are you going to do the second exercise? For the full face and half face elastomeric, you got to jog comfortably in place till you reach the 30 seconds. If you are doing a filtering face piece fit testing, then you got to be talk out loud till you reach 30 seconds. Okay. The third exercise is standing in place. Slowly you turn your head side to side and stay at each side extreme long enough for 2 inhales till you reach 30 seconds. Okay. Last but not least is the last exercise, which is stand in place. Slowly move your head up and down and stay at each side extreme long enough for 2 inhalation till you reach 39 seconds. Okay, so basically this new protocol test exercise are good enough for minimum 2 inhalation at each side. So how does the previously available CNC, which I talk about the original CNC 8 exercise, compare to this OSHA newly modified CNC protocol? Okay, because it's very obvious, the fit test has been shortened from 8 steps all the way down to 4 steps. So this total test time is reduced by around 65% from 7:15 minutes down to 2:29 minutes without any sacrifice in test effectiveness. There's a huge upside to the current users who is moving to the modified CNC. So those current users who own this PortaCount, TSI PortaCount, it's basically a seamless transition to this modified CNC while maintaining the test effectiveness with much reduction in time spent in fit testing. Okay. So, but this this protocol shown here, the 4 exercise protocol shown here, is for filtering phase pieces. If you look at the second exercise, it's talking. Okay. Of course, just now I talked about the full and half phase elastomeric has a jogging in place instead of talking. Okay. What about qualitative fit test with either saturin or Bitrex versus this modified CNC fit test? Okay, just now we talk about the steps, how this pre-taste is involved in qualitative and doing the exercises using a qualitative method. Okay, if you look at, the biggest drawback about this qualitative is they are often done wrong. If you look at these pictures here, they tend to test multiple people at the same time by one administrator. It's not allowed by OSHA. Okay, most of you have often heard, oh, qualitative fit test is one of the fastest method. Okay, but again, you might want to relook at the steps again from administrating the solution, pre-taste screening to fit test. Cases where the administrator did not administer the nebulizer properly. Okay, you got to fully depress the nebulizer. This is required. Imagine doing that continuously for 30 depress for just one single test subject. And in a day, there could easily be more than 10 test subjects. It will put a very huge strain on the fit tester. It's repetitive motion that you've got to keep depressing the nebulizer. So by doing like more than 10 fit test subject in a day, I think it's going to be a huge strain on the fit tester wrist. Okay. Also, a lot of times the fit tester did not wait for the sensitivity test to wear off before conducting fit test. Because just now I mentioned it will take approximately 15 to 20 minutes for the taste sensitivity to wear off. This result is highly inaccurate if you didn't wait for sufficient time for the sensitivity taste to wear off and you start fit test immediately, then the result is definitely highly inaccurate. So all in all, if you factor all this in, don't you think that qualitative fit test is very time consuming and a lot of resource intensive? Okay, not only that, this qualitative fit test also relies on manual records of documentation. The fit test administrator will usually have a checklist form that they complete as they do the fit test steps. Okay, all this hard copy is kept in a file for a year until the next fit test is completed. This fit test administrator may also type the user's name, the particulars, fit test date, and respirator size model into Excel spreadsheet or even into a company database. All this record keeping is actually double work. Okay, so using the PortaCount now with the new CNC test protocol, the fit test is one of the fastest method in the industry now. It also has a very good data management tool software known as Fit Pro Ultra. It automatically saves the fit test results and can do more data filtering like who's due for fit test, etc. Okay, new CNC protocols are indeed much faster and simpler, automated process from doing the fit test to follow the exercise protocol to record the data. And of course, less resource and time spent is required by the fit tester and users. Probably you want to ask yourself these questions. How many manpowers are used to fit test? Are used to type fit test records into your tracking spreadsheets on top of the time already required to conduct the actual fit test. Okay. Okay, with the launch of the new modified protocol since September 2019, many organizations have already started to implement this change in their fit test, and they notice the immediate values it brings them. Even more so with the big organizations where there are thousands of employees, including those contract staff, it could easily take them more than half a month to complete the whole training and fit testing with the original methods. Okay, with these modified protocols, now the time spent for the workers and the fit tester will be reduced by half. The time and money saved can be used to improve other aspects of the worker safety, like trainings. Also, with the recent epidemic, how can we bring the values of using the modified protocols to the healthcare workers? Right? How would a good fitting respirator sit and feel to the user? It does make a lot of differences to the morale of the healthcare workers and confidence in putting on the right size and fitting respirators. Healthcare workers' safety begins to improve when they have more confidence in the respirator that they don. At a time like this, healthcare workers are already very overloaded and under-resourced. We do not want them to put fit testing at the last of their safety list. The value of the modified protocols is timely to help them achieve compliance easier, faster, and minimize the risk. The TSI protocol have been around for over 30 years. They have been serving customers worldwide and have been through many generations of products, each new one continuously improving over the earlier versions. Our first model was started out in 1987. And our most latest models were launched, the latest model were launched in 2017. They are known as a PortaCount Generation 4 series, which is the model is 8040 and of course the 8048. And the new modified CNC protocols will work on all PortaCounts except the old generation. Okay. So basically, if users out there still own the generation 2 PortaCount is 8020 or 8028, probably you should consider to upgrade to the generation 4 PortaCount. Okay, so what is the difference between this generation 4 PortaCount? Okay, well, the first thing people notice here is the lack of a display screen. Okay, instead of a screen that's actually built onto this unit, which happens in the generation 3 PortaCount, right? The generation 4 PortaCount do not have a screen that is built onto the equipment. Okay, this PortaCount will communicate with the new software. We call it the Fit Pro Ultra, which is on a laptop or tablet. Fit Pro Ultra is completely new and was designed to leverage the higher quality graphics and faster processor speed available in modern devices. Okay, we are so used to the new technology and faster speed with our phone and gadget. So this generation 4 PortaCount with the Fit Pro Ultra software, they'll move ahead with times. This new software, Fit Pro Ultra, is really the heart of the fit testing. It was developed to be an intelligent fit test assistant. This so-called fit test assistants help to offload the fit tester. I'll run through them in the next few slides. By that, we mean this software helps improve your efficiency beyond fit test. This software will run on the laptop or or a computer currently used for fit testing, and this software can be operated on tablets running on Windows 10. So let's get into some of these new advanced features that help fit test administrators conduct fit testing. Okay, this user interface has been modeled after familiar apps that people use on phones and tablets. We actually tried this out in front of people in the office who are not fit tester at all. Okay, but they were able to get fit tests started without any training. So it's so easy to use. You don't have to go through much training. Basically, anybody can use them. This software is that intuitive. And this interface has dramatically reduced the steps required to start a fit test, which we somehow encounter in Gen 3, right? You have to go through many pages before you can reach the fit test. Okay, so let's probably look at them. Okay, this is the assign user page to start a fit test. So you assign a user, then you click it, then you go to the next page where we will select the user to be fit tested. Okay, you pull up the user to be fit tested. You select the protocol. It could be OSHA protocol or UK standard HSE. Okay, and of course, you've got to choose the respirator model, size, and this will automatically, the next fit test data will automatically pop out. And when you click assign again at the step 5, it will brings you immediately to the fit test. Okay, so it comes up pretty fast, and the speed it's just a one pager where all this information is input. Unlike in generation 3, basically you got to move pages and pages before you can start a fit test. Okay, so it's really that fast and easy. Okay, during the fit test, when you start the fit test, the PortaCount and the software will take over to manage the fit test. This is where I said earlier that it helped to offload the fit testers. Because in generally, the fit tester will have to guide the respirator user how to actually do all these step-by-step exercise. But now this Fit Pro Ultra software, they have this animation where actually it's easier for the user to follow the fit test exercise. Okay, this animation will basically guide the user through all these fit test exercise for the specific time and changes for the next exercise. So we're during this 1 minute exercise, basically this animation will be there to guide the user how to do it. So the person being fit tested, they simply just watch the animation characters and imitate the movement through the fit test exercise. This ensures the fit test exercise are followed consistently and remove some of the burden from the fit test administrator. So this is a demo clip of the animation. Okay, so during the fit test, this animation continues through the end of the test, through the 60 seconds test. Okay, another feature added to the Fit Pro Ultra is associated with this real-time fit check mode that was introduced on previous PortaCount. Previous PortaCount, we also have this real-time fit check mode. But with this Gen 4 radial shown here, it has been added as an optional display for real-time fit check mode. This radial can now be displayed on the screen for the Gen 4 during a fit test. This helps the administrator monitor the fit test. If fit factors are failing, the test can be terminated early, and a new mask, either a new mask selected, or the user got to be retrained how to don his respirator. So without even going through like the whole 8 exercise or even the 4 reduced exercise, basically a lot of users, they can actually be trained on the real-time mode. Okay. So basically this real-time mode can be used before a fit test started to help select the proper size mask and to train the user how to adjust the respirator for the best fit in less than a minute. It's pretty fast because it's real-time. Whatever adjustment that you make to the respirators is shown instantly. This improves user training and save time by reducing field fit tests associated from the wrong size mask or improperly adjusted mask. This helps you quickly select the best respirator for each individual while training staff on how and when their respirator fits properly. Okay, so this is basically another example of improving efficiency beyond the fit test. So these are basically real-time mode. Before in a lot of cases where we have a lot of new users into a company and they basically do not know how to don the respirator properly. You can actually bring them to the real-time mode and teach them how to actually put on the respirator, any adjustment made, where the leaks occurs and all this. Okay, so basically it helps to reduce a lot of resources and time spent in selecting a mask. Okay, when the fit test is completed, this is what you're going to look at how the fit test screen is look like for passing a fit test. Okay, from this screen, the report can be printed by pressing the print button. Okay, this will print all the standard fit test report to whatever printer the computer is connected to. So if not, you also can save the fit test report to a PDF. Okay. In addition to the intuitive user interface, there will be online help guides have been added to this Ultra software as well. So as long as the PortaCount is connected to the internet, this page will post interactive setup and troubleshooting guides from this TSI website. Okay, Gen 4 PortaCount focus mainly on the new software. As I mentioned, the software is the brains of the fit test. The PortaCount instrument itself has to be reconfigured in a slightly different shape. Okay, inside the same proven particle counting technology is being used that was made famous by the Gen 3 PortaCount. So all new electronics programming have been developed to support the intelligent fit test assistant in the software. Most of the parts accessories from the Generation 3 PortaCount have been carried over to maintain familiarity. All the fit test adapters are also the same, the accessories are the same. If you have fit test with, of course, the Gen 3 PortaCount, setting up the Generation 4 PortaCount is the same. Okay. And as mentioned before, Fit Pro Ultra software runs on any Windows-based computer and can be used on tablet running Windows 10. Okay, now I'm going to open up the Q&A sections here. Okay, Jane.
Yes, Sophia.
Are you able to view the questions on your site?
Yeah, I can view. There's no question so far.
Okay. Then I think it's good. So far, I think it's good.
Yeah. Any questions, everyone? So if there is no question, Sophia, can I share my screen now?
Sure, go ahead. Oh,
Sure. I'll just override.
Okay, great.
Okay, so if there's no question, then I'll just wrap up by saying, please continue to let us know your fit testing needs. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us via the email showing on your screen now. Thanks again for your attendance. We will be following up shortly with a copy of the webinar recording for your reference. And that's all we have for today. Thanks again for your time and stay safe during this period. And take care. Thank you.
Thank you.